Hello everyone, welcome to another informative episode on White Davy Construction and Farm. Today I am going to be doing two things. I am going to be giving you an update on this compost bin that I added worms to, and I am also going to be showing you how you can harvest your worms in case you have put them in your outdoor compost bin. I'm just going ahead and pulling out the plants that are not doing too well. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to be looking at different areas in here to see how the worms are doing. And it seems as if every portion that I move has worms so far. That is good. Okay, so now that I am moving this, the material below the surface is finally looking as if it is being turned into worm castings. The surface of the material is still very rough, but the material is looking a lot more like worm casting, so that is good. So you can see for yourself. Oh, that's the nice size one. Material is looking good, and I am seeing worms with every bit of material that I move. They don't seem to be concentrated in any one area, which is good. The material is fairly moist. In fact, I may be able to harvest castings from this thing before relocating the content of this bin to my garage. Okay, that's good then. So now I am going to show you two methods that you can use to harvest the worms from here. When I started my worm farm a few years ago, one of these methods was shown to me, and I used that. But then in addition to that, I also went through a compost pile that was about the same as this. And let's see, this bin, which is a 4x4 is about 2/3 full, and I had practically the same amount of compost in my first worm bin, which was my compost bin, and I handpicked all the worms out of it after using the method that I am going to be showing you now. And remember, at that point in time when I was harvesting worms, I was harvesting about 20 pounds of worms. So imagine sitting down and hand picking that many worms. It was a task, but it was well worth it. So now let's get into showing you the two methods apart from hand picking. Worms do not like the cold, and so what they will do is try to get away from it. So what you want to do is, depending on the size of your compost bin, you want to get a dark container and just simply turn it down into your compost bin. If you feel as if it's going to be blown away by the wind, you can always just put some material around it. That will help to keep it in place, protect it from the wind. Now what will happen is that as soon as the content of this compost bin starts to get cold, the worms will start looking for shelter, and they will start gathering up underneath this container. So you can put one in there, or you can put several of them in there. It doesn't really matter. In fact, having more containers might be a lot easier because it's a shorter distance for the worms to travel to get to safety. So now let me show you the next method. Now, as you can see, the material that I have in here is material that is partly composted already. So this is not considered fresh food for the worms. So you're going to provide them with a bit of fresh food. I'm just cracking these apples so that the worms can get in there quite easily. And this method, you can do several of it throughout your worm bin as well. Again, your worms are going to be looking for shelter from the cold. So you just want to get a dark container. This is a bit small, but this is just for demonstration because, as I said before, all of this content is going to be going into my garage, so I don't need to use this method to extract them. So you just get another dark container, put some food scraps, and you turn the container down over the food scraps. The food scraps will invite the worms faster, and then the container will provide them with protection from the cold. So this is the simplest way and the quickest way to get your worms out of your compost bin, unless of course you want to just take the entire content and put it in trays or worm bins, whether in your house or in your heated garage. So guys, that is it. This is how you harvest your worms from your compost bin. You may choose to leave your worms outdoors, as one friend of mine said that she would just leave them out there and let them die because she's afraid of handling worms. And then the eggs will hatch next year into the compost, and then she will have new worms growing. So don't like that idea though. So as soon as it starts to get cold, I will go and see her and harvest the worms for her, and she doesn't want to handle them, so I'm just gonna keep the worms in a separate container for her over the winter, and then share the spoils and return some of it to her. Okay, so this is how I harvest my worms from my compost bin for overwintering. Did you find this video informative? Would you like to learn more? why not take a moment to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification. Thank you for watching and have yourself a wonderful day.